In this movie, we're going to explore the command process deed file under the tools pull down. In an earlier movie exploring the enter deed description, we actually created a deed file by specifying a deed file name with this radio button here, and it was smith.pdd. On the screen is the deed that we entered. So I'm going to show you how to use the process deed file to edit the deed. So in this case, it's asking us for a new or existing PDD file. It's going to be existing. We can simply select the Smith from the list, which is our appropriate file. It only has one lot in it, and this lot is represented by the graphic on the screen now. So let's select lot 1, and first of all, let's look at it. You have several options here in the input edit deed file, or the process deed file routine. You can have a report of the lot by simply hitting report. You'll be taken to this screen, and it will show you all your bearing and distances of your lines, whether they're a line, a curve, simple curve information, radius and arc length, ending coordinates, your beginning coordinates. Now notice these are about perfect, and I think it was about 1 and 2 million when what the closure was. You can also hit X to exit, or you can go to File and Exit. We can go back and bump the coordinate places up, or the decimal places up, by just selecting 4 decimal places in report. And you can see that although it appeared that we tied flat earlier, we have maybe a 2 10,000ths or something, very, very close tie. So let's go back to File and Exit. We're back to our input edit deed dialog box. On this dialog box, we select lot 1 and we hit edit. All our information is up in the screen now, and we can simply select on any line and edit the values. One good thing about this is if you just picked a point on the screen, keyed in a deed, and then at a later date you determine what the true coordinates of the point are, maybe their state plane or whatever, then you can simply go here, change your north, change your east, and it will update your deed for you in relation to the position of the drawing on the screen. Now, the lines, the type, this information here shows you the bearing, the distance, the type, the radius, the arc length if it is a curve. In our case, the first one is a line, so if we highlight it and hit edit, we can actually go in and change. We can change the bearing of the line by keying in a different direction here, just toggling on a different direction, or completely change the angle, or completely change the distance. Now if we change anything, we know we have a good tie, and right now. So if we change something, we know we're going to bust it pretty bad, but let's go ahead and change the distance to 75, hit OK, and OK, and save. So it is saved. Now let's draw it. So we hit lot 1 and draw. Drawing is done. You will not see the geometry until you exit this routine. And now this line that I'm going to color green is the new position of the deed. Now you know we busted based upon our earlier deed input, so if we move this line, you can see that actually down here is where we started originally. We increased this length of line to 75 instead of 50, so naturally the other bearings don't jive with what we changed, so it's not going to close. But this is just for illustration's sake, so you can see what you can do with the process deed file option. So let's go back to Tools, Process Deed File, Existing again, Smith, Open, and Lot 1, and let's edit Lot 1 again, or Line 1, and change it back to 50, and say OK, OK, and save. Now you can do this on a curve as well. If you select a curve and you hit edit, you have the ability to change your chord bearing, your chord distances, your radius length, and your arc lengths as well, curve direction, left or right. Now another way that you can use this tool, Process Deed File, is simply just to add a whole complete deed in here. So just real quick, we'll walk through, we'll enter in the same information we entered the first time for lot 1, but what we'll do is we'll just hit here and we'll say add. Deed file name, we'll just say for the illustration it's lot 2. Our northing, in this case, we'll change them. We'll say they're 5500 and 5500. And now we're ready to begin adding some information. So we'll go to add. Our first bit of information was a line, so it is on line. That's great. Our bearing in this case is northwest, so we click on northwest. Our bearing is 27.2717, and our distance again is 50 feet, and we just simply hit OK, and we've added our first line. Now the one thing to remember as you add, you want to click on the line above and add if you're going to be adding below the previous line. So I'm going to click on our first line and hit add. This time it's going to be a curve, so I select arc. I'm going to key in my chord bearing, which in this case is a northeast, 47.55.55, so I just type in 47.55.55, and our chord bearing in this case is 98.39. And if it is a curve, which we have it toggled to arc, our curve direction is left, you want to go ahead and key in the radius. Every bit of information you have, it requires these 4 bits of information to use this type of deed input. The arc length in this particular case was 99.465. So we enter it in, we say OK. Now we've got our curve. So we'll simply select curve and then add, or select on the curve information and then the add button, and we'll add our next line, which is a northeast bearing. It's already set to northeast. It's 33.1902, and our distance in this case is 159.76, and we simply hit OK. We've added our next line. So we will click on it again because it's the last one in the list, and we're going to add again. This time it's a curve, and our bearing, chord bearing coming into this one is a northeast, 47.55.35, so it's 47.5535. Our distance, chord distance, is 113.501. Our direction of curve is to the right. Our radius is 225. Our arc length is 114.74. And we simply hit OK, and we've added our curve. Select the last bit of data again, hit add. We're on a northeast bearing of 62.3222 and a distance of 90.41 feet, and we simply hit OK. Again, select the last bit of information and add. This time we're on a southeast, so we will select SE, and our bearing is 27.2743. Our distance in this case is 181.49, and we simply hit OK. Again, last bit of data, add. Our bearing in this case is a southwest bearing. It is 62.3244, and our distance is 434.886, and we simply hit OK, and OK to this dialog box, and a save. OK. This time we'll tell it to draw lot 2, and OK, and exit. And now we will simply go to view, zoom extents, and up here in the upper right is lot 2. Now the only difference you see is if you use enter deed description, key it in on the screen, you're going to have annotation of lines automatically. If you input in the process deed file options, then it doesn't automatically annotate. But it's simple to do. We'll pan down, get this in the middle. We'll use a zoom window, zoom in around it. Simply go to the annotate pull down, auto annotates. Tell it to put the bearing and distance on the line as well as the curve information. Show us the arc length and the radius. Simply hit OK and pick the geometry, and you've got the drawing annotated, pretty much looking like this one, with the exception of the point symbols. So this process deed file option, you can actually take a deed that you've input previously, edit it. If you made a mistake, you don't have to worry about going back and rekeying in the whole deed. As long as you save that deed file, you can go in and edit it however you need to. In addition, you can simply use the routine and go into a makeshift data entry format to where you can simply go in and key in a whole new deed. Give it a name up here, the starting coordinates, and all the information here. Remember, as you add information, to click the line that you want the information to be added below. So highlight this line, and if you hit add, you're going to add information directly below the North 272717. So if you missed a line, you could simply hit the add button right here, and you're going to put some information below, just like we did here, and we will simply remove it. You can remove from any deed any data that is highlighted here. You simply highlight it, hit remove, and it's gone. Also, you can get deed reports, so we can look at report of lot 2 that we just keyed in, and again it shows you the basic information that you keyed in, along with your closing error, your perimeter distance, and your error distance in this case was 0. So it is a handy little feature to use. Bear in mind, if you take the time, in my opinion, to key in a deed on the screen, it's always wise when you're using enter deed description to use the specified deed name, so you can always have it. Plus you can put multiple deeds or multiple plat drawings in one project to where everything's together, and you can simply go in and pick the individual ones you want and draw them anytime you wish. So this concludes our movie on process deed file.